Welcome, Jessica.
Hi.
Hi, welcome to Sunshine of Your Life podcast. Thank you so much for coming today to speak with me and all of our listeners.
Well, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. I'm a huge fan of yours. I've purchased some of Jessica's jewelry in the past and essential oils for chakras. I purchased one of Jessica's bracelets and they're really special because you can put some essential oils on the lava rocks to carry aroma with you. So you call them specifically
Diffusion jewelry, specifically a diffusion bracelet.
Okay, so I chose Passion, which has vanilla, mandarin, cassia, and jasmine. So yes. Jessica's made these oils.
Yep.
It's a blend of essential oils, and she goes by Wired by Nature.
Yep.
So how do I, can you just show me how I put the oil on the bracelet? Like, what do you recommend you do?
I always tell people you should apply the essential oils to the lava rocks, allow them to absorb. Typically I would have tissues if I was doing this at a market, and then wipe off the excess.
Okay.
Because you shouldn't be putting pure essential oils directly on your skin.
Okay.
Because you could have an irritation.
Right.
Because these are 100% pure essential oils. These are undiluted. So that's how I would recommend.
So get a tissue. All right.
So that's what I would always tell people, and it doesn't really matter which one you would put it on.
Okay. So
it's going to absorb.
What do we do?
So I'm just going to...
And I chose this lovely bracelet. I love the colors. And I love the lotus flower. Does the lotus flower have any meaning? The little pendant or...
So I only just added one drop to one of the lava rocks, because you don't really need a whole lot, because again, these are pure essential oil.
Okay.
And depending on the oil or the oil blend that you choose, some will definitely last longer scent-wise than others. And because it's a perfume or an essential oil and not a perfume, they're not long lasting, right? So they will dissipate over time. So what I would do in a market situation, because a lot of people do want to put essential oil on the bracelet before they leave, like I would do this for them and, you know, wipe off the excess, make sure like while they're paying, you know, if they're looking at other things, I usually let it kind of dry a bit and then I would let them put it on and then they go on their way.
Okay.
But yeah, looks pretty good.
Okay.
So it's on that back bead.
Oh yeah, I can see.
Yep.
So that's a lava rock.
Oh, the lotus symbol. So I'm wired by nature, so I'm inspired by obviously where I live. Nature is a big part of my life. I'm inspired by nature, so therefore I'm wired by nature.
Okay.
So I'm energized by nature. That's what feeds me. That's what feeds my creativity. I'm very connected spiritually with nature, so that's where my name came from, which just kind of came to me on one of my walks. But I always use either nature imagery, but I also use a lot of yoga and meditative symbols as well, because I do yoga, so that's part of my practice. And the lotus is definitely one of my favorite symbols, you know.
Oh, beautiful tattoo.
So it's, for me, lotus is about overcoming obstacles. They are something that grow out of mud, right? There's something pure that comes out of darkness or...
Oh.
So it's kind of seeing beauty in all things and growth. And so that's kind of, lotus is definitely one of the symbols I like to use.
I'll have to reflect on it. I was just realistically attracted to the three colors together. I really love these colors. So thank you so much. Now I have a bracelet to match my earrings I have by you.
Yeah. And then you also, for the stones, you've picked rose quartz.
Okay.
So I always use real gemstones and crystals. Because I use crystals in my practice as a healer. You've chosen rose quartz, which is the universal love stone. And then howlite is really good, very calming, good for anxiety and for your crown chakra, so connection.
Oh. Well, thank you for that. Connection. Crown chakra, I'll have to remember that. So do you usually do little write-ups for your jewelry pieces, or?
I do, actually, which is kind of part of the fun. Once someone has picked them out, because I usually tell people to pick something that you were instantly drawn to, because I do have a variety of stuff I do, and when I'm doing a market I have 2 tables, so it can be a little overwhelming. So I always tell people, if you're buying for yourself or you're buying for someone else, go with the one you were drawn to first. Go with your first instinct. And then on my business card I actually have it so that I can write down the stones, the chakras, and what it's used for.
Oh,
right on the back of my
that's
business
a great
card.
idea. Stone, chakras, and what it's used for.
Yeah.
So you have some extensive study in chakras as well then?
Yes.
And do you have any references? Like, where did you go to learn about chakras?
I took 2 different courses through a lady in the States. One was a crystal healing course. I think it was a 10-week course. And then the other one she offered was a holistic tarot reading course. So I did a 10-week course on tarot, and I also did a 10-week course on crystal healing. But the crystal healing, the way she teaches it, is it's all about balancing the chakra system. So you learned a lot. You went pretty far in depth with the chakra system. Even with most of my practice today, whether it's Reiki, whether it's other things that I'm using, I usually go back to the chakra system because that is my foundation training. That was the first holistic training that I did. I believe there is something to it because each one of our chakras, which is an energy center, corresponds with a gland.
Okay.
So people who are very scientific and they believe that, the whole chakra thing is, hippie voodoo stuff. If they're very scientific brain, you can say, well, each of these chakra or energy centers corresponds with a gland. Well, what does that gland do? How does that gland affect your body? So there is something there, right? And it's an ancient practice. So I do believe that there's more going on there than just energy. It's kind of...
Yeah, I was thinking, you were talking about an experience you had at a market one time around the stigma of card reading and crystals and Reiki talk. Do you have anything else to say towards like people with limited perception?
Well, you said it. It's perception and perspective. With what I do, I work with aromatherapy, I work with crystals, and I work with oracle cards and tarot cards, and I work with energy healing, different forms. I have been labeled as a witch by the religious community, but that's their perception of what I do, and that's not my perception of what I do. I don't believe in labels. If you want, the only label that I'd ever put on myself is healer. I've always had a healing drive, a healing ability, because some of the things that I've been through and what I've been able to overcome, I want to be able to help other people do that, because it's possible. Whatever you've been through in your life, you can move past it. Right? It doesn't have to chain you. It doesn't have to define who you are. You can do that. Right. Only you can define who you are. So that's the only label that I'm comfortable with is healer.
So what do you believe inspired you to become a healer, or were those just natural abilities that you saw as you were growing up?
They've always really been there. I just didn't know what it was. I've always been very intuitive and just kind of knew things. And when you're a teenager and you want to prevent your friends from hardships because you see things coming for them, and people don't want to hear those things. They need to. That's their path. They need to learn those things for themselves. They need to go through those breakups in order to learn and grow as a human. But, we want to protect our friends. So it's kind of like, do I say something? Do I not? I learned the hard way that sometimes you have to just let things play out. But I didn't know what it was when I was a teenager. I just thought everyone was like that. Everyone had this
ability to see what's happening for other people almost.
Intuitively, right? I thought that was just a normal thing. It's like, well, it's okay. Well, it's like when you're watching a movie, you know what's coming next, right? It's foreshadow.
Like you can see the consequences of people's choices before they fully committed to the choice.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, it's just not, I think it's just human behavior, but I just thought everyone saw the world like that. I didn't think that was a gift or anything when I was younger. I just thought that was normal.
Well, I'd have to say it's a gift because many young people don't have the ability to see about 5 days past their choice.
Yeah.
And it's just a part of the brain that's not even developed until you're about 25.
Yeah, I see. I've always had it, and I've always wanted to protect my friends. But yeah, I just learned you just gotta keep your mouth shut because like when I was a teenager, that's when being labeled as a witch or first came up.
And nobody wants precautions. Like nobody wants to be warned. We're all so quick to follow through with what we want. Mm-hmm. And to
especially if you're a teenager.
have a little intervention. So would you say that's you've developed that gift over time and now you're able to use that at a different degree, or?
Well, for a long time I hid it. For a long time I just, because it was, it was fear. For me, it was fear about embracing my gifts and where that would take me. And judgment. I feared judgment for a long time, like how people would perceive me.
And how does that make you feel now, Jessica? Like when people look at you differently or see you as a witch, or see something.
I'm just going to keep shining my light.
Yeah.
Because I'm happy with who I am and I'm happy with what I'm able to share with the world. So it just took a long time to get to that point, which actually was me moving to this valley and having people here that embrace that life and embrace who you are, right? I felt more comfortable in my skin and I was able to learn and grow because I've met a lot of amazing people living in this valley that are just like me. There's a lot of like wonderful souls here that are like living in it and just being who they are, and which I think is amazing too, right?
Yeah, not putting up any walls so other people can't get in. So that kind of leads me to my next question. You're obviously passionate as a healer about helping other people to heal their own bodies and their mindsets and their emotion. So do you believe that the aromatherapy oils can help ailments of the body physically, emotionally, and mentally?
Yes.
As well as spiritually?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm doing clinical aromatherapy, which is a 2-year program, and I hope to be done by the end of May. I'm doing it through correspondence, and it is a 2-year program, but I think I have 27 months to complete it with my term paper, exam, and all my case studies that I have to submit. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot to it. The first part of the course, because it's divided into 2 courses, the first part of the course was more about the emotional and spiritual side of aromatherapy, which is more what you get within a spa setting. The second course, which is I'm about halfway through, is the physical, so all physical ailments. So if someone came to me and said, I'm having trouble sleeping, I'm a little jet lagged because I just got back, but I'm also got eczema. It's like, well, I can come up with a blend to address all 3 of those things, which is kind of fun. Mm-hmm. Which actually, Wanderlust is one of my newest blends.
Alrighty.
And this one, it was actually created for homesickness, jet lag. But yeah, I could create a blend that's specific to you and what you're going through. And then you'd bring it home and use it in different ways. For the eczema, you would definitely want it within a topical cream. So it'd have to have a base lotion to mix it with, and then you would apply it topically. But then for the other effects, so emotional, more spiritual, you'd want to put it in a diffuser, maybe in your bath. So you're using it different ways for the different
ailments.
So
this one was good for homesickness
and jet lag.
So somebody could come to you with a physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual problem, and you could address that with essential oils. You could address that with Reiki. I'm curious to hear all about your new Reiki experience lately. You just recently became a Reiki master. I know you've been studying for a while, mm-hmm. but congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I just got my master's in January. Like, I'm definitely not ready to start passing that on as a teacher yet. I definitely have a lot more to learn before I feel like I can be comfortable teaching the Reiki to others. Mm-hmm. Like attunements, I definitely need a lot more study and a lot more practice before I can get there. But yeah, it's exciting because I know it's down the road.
I'd love to have you for my next set of attunements. I'd love to go through them with you and show you a little bit about what I've learned. I've been studying Reiki for 18 years now myself, and I've learned the attunement process, and I've given many attunements, and I think it's a beautiful, almost rite of passage, if you will, where you connect with that person deeply to source energy. And it's all about intentions. Intentions are most important. Yeah, so next time, I'd love to have you come in, sit in on an attunement process and see how I do it. And everybody does it differently. I've studied with 3 different Reiki masters. Yeah, and so they're all just slightly...
It makes sense though, because like I haven't met two Reiki healers that practice the same, right? It's like even though you're taught a procedure or guidelines, I find you still get that person's personality with the energy exchange.
Well, Reiki is all about an experience. It is a science, so we learn Reiki through working with it.
Mm-hmm.
And traditionally it was handed down orally. So it wasn't until just recently that the Reiki masters who Hawaii Takata had trained in the West started writing down and documenting. So there are 22 Reiki masters that trained with her that are all different lineages now. Everybody has their own perception, right? And it's through experience how they teach other people. And out of all of the documentation that I have, most of what I've learned was handed down to me orally still.
Yeah.
So there's lots to be said still. I think you and I should even collaborate and write, thoughts and feelings and perceptions about how Reiki's worked in our lives. And that'll be a whole other way of helping other people to grapple what exactly this Reiki energy channeling, universal healing energy is all about, because most people think it's frou-frou, just like...
Well, if you say that, and it's like, I would have, 20 years ago when I first encountered Reiki, I thought the same thing. I'm like, well, that was just girl waving her arms around me, and I didn't get anything from it. But it's not until I actually experienced it and felt it then I was like, okay, there's something to this.
Something's going on here.
Yeah.
And that's what I always say now when people have hesitations around, they kind of look at me sideways. What exactly is Reiki anyways? And I say it's best to be felt and experienced rather than understood. And it isn't until you really start experiencing it that you can understand it better. A lot of it is through faith when you really start walking down that path of, receiving those attunements and the teaching. But it does unfold the more you work with it. So have faith. So other people also can come to you for chakra tune-ups and balances as well.
So I can approach it in different ways, which is kind of nice having different modalities. Reiki is kind of a bit newer using it by itself, because I've been using Reiki for a few years, but blending it with other things. Now that I'm a master, so I'm starting to just do straight Reiki. But I can still, when I'm kind of working on someone, I can kind of feel which chakras are out of alignment, just with the energy. But what I was taught was actually to use a pendulum and measure the chakra. So you're just using a pendulum, you put it above that chakra, like if it's the heart, you put it above the heart, and you can actually, you'll see once it kind of sinks to the vibration of the chakra, the size should be about the size of a fist. If it's too closed, that person probably has a hard time developing new relationships. They're probably pretty closed off, probably different reasons. Or if it's too open, then they're probably the opposite. They probably have a hard time having long-term relationships. They're probably bouncing from one relationship to another, right? Because they're too open. So that just would tell you where that chakra lies, and how then you can proceed from there using different methods to balance it out. You can use sound, you can use crystals, you can use Reiki, or just simply bringing that person's attention to it. A lot of those healing practices, intention is a big part of it. So
yeah, I've read that with the healing process, 97% of the cure is attention. Mm-hmm. So taking a willingness to approach to looking at the problem and then going in at it from different angles. So sometimes the sore knee isn't the physical knee. There could be an emotional or a mental or perhaps even a spiritual imbalance in your system that's creating, or an organ or a meridian that's creating the blockage of energy. Because I think with the knee, it's, what was it? If you're looking at what could the emotional component be, it's being afraid to step forward into your life. So it's not the do-all, end-all, but it's a starting point, and then you start to look at your life and question, am I holding back? Like, am I afraid to move forward with certain projects or people, or right? So then you help your clients to address what is it that could be creating the imbalance, and or you could use your crystals. So crystals also, along with essential oils, have different healing properties.
Yeah.
And so did you say that you've taken courses for crystal healing as well?
Yeah, I took a 10-week crystal healing course. Again, it was predominantly about the chakra system.
Right.
You can probably use crystals for pretty much anything. Like, normally for my home, it's like I have different crystals that do different things within my home. Some are for protection, some of them, well, with a business, you know, if you have a big old piece of citrine, that's supposed to bring in abundance to your business, right? So, but each crystal has its own vibration. And intuitively, you just, like, I was drawn to every single crystal that I own. However, the fun thing about crystals is they tend to go where they're needed. So I try not to have attachments to them, because sometimes they go through me to other people. It's to be frustrating.
Get over here, abundance.
Yeah, when you really love
Here,
a crystal.
can I rub it?
When you really love a crystal, it's like, so you try not to get emotionally attached to them, because that's part of crystal healing is, yeah, sometimes you're just the, you know, you're going to be passing along to someone else, right? Mm-hmm. And intuitively you just know, like if you just get like that kind of like feeling like, oh, this person's supposed to have this, and you just let that go and let it go along on its journey.
Like when I snapped this bracelet up from you.
Yep.
Hope you weren't too attached to it.
No, okay, so well, I've been making jewelry now for 3 years, and the jewelry led me to the crystal healing, which is kind of funny because I was working with crystals, and every time I make a bracelet, like, yeah, I'm putting colors together, but there's a little more to it, because I just set the intention that, like, I'm going to make something for the person that needs it. Like every single piece has that kind of intention.
And so you started building jewelry, and then you felt like you wanted even more meaning with the crystals, so that's why you learned more about...
Yeah, because you start looking up different crystal properties, like, okay, well, what does rose quartz mean? And, it's like, okay, well, and then you start getting information from people too, because people will be like, I was drawn to this, and then you tell them, oh, well, this is the universal love stone. It's about relationships, friendships, forgiveness. They're like, that's perfect for me. That's what I was looking for.
And is that the pink one?
Mm-hmm.
Universal love, friendships, and forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Oh, that's so sweet. You bring me lots of forgiveness. I hear resentment is a horrible thing for your health, so.
Well, and holding on to things, right?
Yeah.
Like I really feel for people that hold on to grudges and just can't let things go, because that's only hurting you, right? Like, just get rid of that baggage, get rid of that, because it's not serving anybody. And then forgiveness is not about the person you're forgiving. It's about you letting go of it.
Go. A little mantra that's really helped me. Maybe you have a mantra as well, but I learned the Ho'opono.
Oh yes, Hawaiian.
Yep. And I've done a few Hawaiian spiritual healing circles where we've done some chanting and breath work. They do a lot of breath work, and there was a big kahuna, which is the kahuna is the healer. Mm-hmm. And so we had a spiritual medicine person come that practiced the Hawaiian spirituality. The Ho'opono is so sweet because, like you said, you don't have to say it in front of a person's face, but when somebody's done something truly to hurt you and you kind of feel really horrible for a while, a really good way, like a method for me, is I do the Ho'opono. And like I said, you don't have to be in front of the person, but it's just, I love you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. Thank you. And you kind of,
beautiful.
It is. I actually have shivers. It's just so sweet for me because I've used that in a few instances, and it stops the cycle. It stops the cycle of hate and anger, and, helps us to step into forgiveness. Even though that person doesn't want to be forgiven or may want to be forgiven, but you're not communicating, it just helps us to step out of that lower vibration of frustration that we have in relationships, unfortunately, sometimes.
Yeah.
And
so I mean, like, forgiveness has nothing to do with the other person. It's all about you, right? It's like, forgive and move on. Like,
Yeah, and you start to learn it's something too that comes not just with like spiritual tradition, but with age. It doesn't matter really about these other people. They don't think about you as much as you give them credit for.
No,
And who gives a shit anyways, really, at the end of the day, like your life and your choices. I mean, as long as we're making choices that are in alignment with the highest good for everybody.
Oh, yes.
But like silly things like people judging us because we do yoga or go to crystal healing courses, it's for our own health and well-being. And I'm quite passionate about also sharing that with other people, that there's so many tools that we can use.
That's the thing. Like, the crystals are a tool. You know, it's not, I'm totally reliant on these things. I don't use them all the time, but crystals are just in my environment. They make me feel better. But they need work too. You clean them, you know.
I actually just started with the last moon cycle. I took all of my crystals and put them out on my window ledge so that the full moon could cleanse them. I'm getting into this new thing with the moon and really working on setting goals and healing myself, so getting rid of old patterns and charging my special things like crystals and using them in my healing practice. The other day I had a healing session where the therapist put crystals on my chakras, and then she used my little Tibetan chimes, and it was just like, you could feel it. And how could you disprove that? Like, when you can feel something radiating that wasn't there before, which to me just felt good. You know, it's not something that was hurt. Like, you know, I don't care what people say. I know it makes me feel better, you know, and I have a really good experience every time I use my crystals and my cards. But before we move on with cards, because you've been inspiring me to use cards quite a bit. Lately, I've been using them for about 3 weeks now, and you inspired me because I went to you for a card reading a little while ago, which I really thoroughly enjoyed. It was actually one of my favorite afternoons. We had coffee out on the deck, and it's just a nice way to spend time with people. It's you know, it's a good conversation starter and helps us to dig a little deeper into what's going on in our hearts and our minds. But I don't want to get off topic with your crystals, because what I'd really like to know about is are your malas.
Okay.
Like your newest creations. You've been making these long prayer beads.
Yeah, so I've been making diffusion jewelry, so bracelets and, well, predominantly bracelets. I started making earrings last year too. So yeah, I started doing malas because actually I had a lot of friends that really wanted me to make them. They're a lot of work, but what I like about making them is that I kind of go into a meditative state when I'm actually making these, because there is a knot between each bead. So, you know, there's 108 gemstones here. There's also 108 knots. So once I fed them all on, yeah, I can just sit there and I'm knotting them between each bead. And yeah, for me, I find it very meditative to make. I don't make a lot of them because they are time consuming. It's about 4.5 hours of work for each mala. So
this is one of my favorite colors right now.
Aquamarine.
So is there any significance in the amount of beads, the 108 beads?
So I don't know a lot about malas, but I know that is a significant number in yoga. Yeah, but see, I definitely need to learn more about it because I'm selling them. So it just came to me organically to be making them. So, and I think I'll keep making them because I think they are pretty special, because my intent is that they, again, no different than my bracelets. I know they're going to go to someone that really needs it.
I have a few malas, and I think the 108 has to do with something to do with the sacred sound syllables. And what I've learned is that malas are very sacred to the owner. So whoever wears them, it's meant to be kept very special, and especially the tassels, you would never let another person come up and touch them.
Okay.
Because all of your prayer and intention that you put into your mala, so you would do it when you're meditating or when you're driving, where you would count on the beads, you would do your mantra. So if you were using the mantra Om, you would go and you can do loud, quiet, and soft. So the first time around, you could do it internally, just doing Om inside of your mind. And then the second time around, you would do it quietly, Om, Om, Om. And then the third time around, you can do it Om, 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 a little bit louder. So each time when you go around your mala, you're never supposed to cross the path of the Buddha. So your Buddha is your big top bead, usually, is the Buddha. And so you give pay refuge or pray to the Buddha every time you touch it. So every time you go around your mala with prayer or a mantra, it would be pay refuge to the Buddha. And then your middle bead is your Dharma. So that's your life purpose and teaching. So what you've come here to learn and to express. So you give thanks or pay refuge to that. And then your Sangha is your third bead, and that's your spiritual community that you can express your teaching to, and you can also receive from your spiritual community. So every time you pray or meditate and you get to your end beads, you don't want to cross the path. So you go Buddha, pay refuge, Dharma, Sangha, and then you go back in the opposite direction. So you don't want to go across.
It's funny you're saying this, and like I just started making these, and like this is the one that, because I had a few other designs that just didn't speak to me, but when I started making this specific pattern and the way that it's done here, like I was happy with this. This is when I started to get excited about making these, and it's like now you just described all this, and it's like.
And I did
this totally intuitively.
Totally intuitively. What I've learned as well is the first time around, you repeat your mantra once.
Okay.
And so you do it quiet, soft, and loud, back and forth. And then you repeat it each bead 3 times. And then you repeat it each bead 7 times. And you do that 7 times quiet, 7 times soft, 7 times loud. And then each time you pay refuge to the Buddha, and the Dharma, and your Sangha. And so that vibration that you create...
so basically they're used for meditation and prayer.
And protection, yeah, and connection. So when you're using your beads, you're creating a vibration in the crystal, and the crystal stores them, but the tassels what really stores, and you can also put some essential oil in your tassels. The tassel is like the receiver of all the energy. And then also what I've learned is about when you're doing your mantras, you don't want to project them.
Okay.
So you're enunciating them with your lips. So if you're doing Om, you have to really Om, make the letters with the sound with the lips, but draw the vibration inward. So that vibration is helping to heal within and store within your crystals.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot more information out there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I definitely need to like learn more about it, especially that I'm making these. And
so you do malas for sale, and you're going to be set up at some markets. Invermere is really popular for summer markets, and Radium Hot Springs.
I'll be doing Radium and Invermere again this year. I'm confirmed for Radium. Invermere hasn't put their registration up yet, but I will be definitely signing up for that. So I'll be Friday nights in Radium through the summer, and then Saturday mornings in Invermere. And you can't miss my booth.
Oh, I am going to be down there. It's a bright teal.
Yeah, very colorful.
I need to stop in and pick up some new oils. I'm running low on oils.
When I started doing diffusion jewelry, I knew the essential oils were going to come in eventually. I did a lot of customer research, basically what people were asking for. So I sell lavender and peppermint by itself because every single market I would have at least 3 people ask me for peppermint oil and at least 1 for lavender.
That's my go-to for massage. I always like to have a little bottle of peppermint or Japanese mint, and then I love orange for massage. It's very uplifting. Mm-hmm. I use orange on myself every day as well. Lavender for the calming, soothing.
Yep. Those 2 I sell singularly, but all the other ones are my own blends that I've created.
What are a few of your other blends that you brought along today?
Well, the one we already talked about, the passion.
Oh, and it smells delightful. I can still really smell it on my bracelet.
So there's also Kootenai Forest. So I don't just have feminine scents. I definitely wanted something a little bit more woody, and I do have mostly female clients, but I definitely have a lot of men that come to me, and I make bracelets. I always have my stuff with me at the markets, so I do a lot of custom at markets. Like, it's amazing how much stuff I just make right there.
That was my next question. So you can blend on the spot. You can
not
put
blend.
together.
I thought of doing that, but there's too many variables that things could go wrong with blending at the market.
Okay.
I'd have to do a proper aromatherapy consult, which is time consuming, and as busy as Invermere can get, it's just, I would need a second person in my booth with me to actually be watching my products while I was doing that. Because I used to do oracle card readings in my booth, and that took away from the jewelry, because I would be doing readings, so I wasn't paying attention to the jewelry and everything on my tables. So I'm sure things got lifted, unfortunately, but I also probably lost sales. So there's that aspect. And then the other one is to have this size of every single essential oil that I am studying, which is 90 of them, to have all of them at the market. That's about $2,000 in essential oils.
And you don't want to leave them out in the hot sun all day.
No.
Because I've seen you tarting around an ice pack before.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So like that'd be a lot. That would be a library of oils that could potentially go rancid on you being out in the sun, because you want to store your essential oils in a cool, dark place. So my essential oils, the testers are on the table, and I usually put them somewhere where it's not sunny, where there's no sunlight, so that they're staying a little cooler. But all of the ones that are for sale are underneath the table in a cooler with ice packs. And that was my solution to keep them cool, because yeah, it gets really hot here in the summer, and I definitely want them to stay cool at the markets. But yeah, so Kootenai Forest.
Oh yes, let's have a smell.
Kootenai Forest, it's a strong oil.
Okay.
It's definitely a strong scent. So I do a lot of hiking here in the valley, and this one is inspired by hiking. So when I'm out on a hike with my dog and my husband, I'll collect things like Douglas fir needles, I'll collect juniper berries.
Ooh.
As I'm walking, and I mash them up in my hands, and I just enjoy the scent.
That smells so delightful. The cedar wood.
So this one's inspired by me mashing up those different
Juniper
berries and needles and stuff in my hands, and I was like, if I can recreate that scent in an essential oil blend.
And you did it. And
I
I'm glad
did
you
it.
left the patchouli out. Because patchouli sometimes is nice for some people, but I think it would have taken away from this one.
No, this one's like, and it's so mind clearing. It's just like, woo. It is strong. So I do have a little caution with this one. It's like a little goes a long way, because it's definitely a stronger oil.
So Wired by Nature, can someone order custom blends or pre-made blends and the malas online? Do you have?
Yeah, I have a website. It's www.wiredbynature.ca. I don't have all my products on my website, but if you follow me on Instagram, I post a lot of what I'm doing on Instagram, and you can always contact me, and you can purchase. You don't have to come to the markets to buy from me. You can buy anytime from me, because I usually have a lot of this stuff in stock, or I have stuff that I can make it.
Yeah, the last time I bought oils from you, I think you just met me uptown.
Yeah.
I bought my little chakra kit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I make way too much stuff. And I'm constantly changing, just like everything else. It's like, you kind of have to stay ahead of the game, because I can't make the same things all the time. So like, even with these bracelets, like this is definitely, I've actually been making this specific one since the start. Mm-hmm. But, I've been changing it up, adding more black, like adding more lava rocks, right? So I've been playing around, and like, this is just what I've been making lately. So to take a photo of every single different style that I make.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Pretty time consuming.
Could you also maybe just do a little talk about your newest creations?
Oh, yes.
Your mini.
So last summer, I had a lot of requests at the markets to make kids bracelets.
Yeah.
So these are really freaking cute. Yeah, I'm quite happy with the way they're turning out. I like the pattern. I like the style. The only thing I'm concerned about is the essential oils. I don't want to encourage parents to be putting pure essential oils on these for kids because their skin is way more sensitive than ours. There's too many variables where they could have a reaction. So I definitely am going to try to figure out a way. So whether it's to actually have essential oils that are already diluted specifically for the kids' bracelets,
right?
Or encourage them to, because I also do roller blends where they're diluted at a safe ratio for the skin. I do have those in each of these blends as well. So what I would encourage the parents to do is get a roller blend, because I don't want pure essential oils going on kids' skin. That's not a good idea. But that would be my solution, is the roller blend, or having some that are already diluted, or tell the parents they definitely have to dilute these oils before you apply them to the bracelet. Yeah.
Good idea. Well, I'm sure you're going to do remarkably well at the markets this summer. I want to hear all about it, and I'll be there. I'll be down there visiting with you. I'll have to bring you a coffee.
The Invermere one gets pretty crazy.
I can't say I went once last year, but I see the traffic. And I drive around town because it is so popular. There are so many people here in the summertime.
Oh, it will be in a vendor, and like again, doing this solo, it can be intimidating when you have 20 people in your booth, but you make it work.
Yeah, hone in on the people that need you and will benefit from your services. So when you do offer consultations and Reiki sessions, do you have a clinic that you're working out of, or?
Not yet. That's coming. I've definitely practiced on friends and stuff like that for now, but I'm working on getting my insurance and I'm going to go through NHPC and get that. I'm not in a rush to get the NHP insurance because I need it for my aromatherapy anyway. So that's why I've been kind of procrastinating getting it done, because once I'm a certified aromatherapist, I need it for that anyway. So it'll be covering that and Reiki.
Right.
So yeah, well, I can do it mobily. That's definitely an option. I have a table.
You have a massage table.
Oh yeah.
So when you do the chakra balancing, does the person lie down, or can you do it from sitting or standing, or?
It definitely is easier laying down.
Right.
Because
you use the pendulum.
Yeah, but like if I was over at a friend's house, like they could lay on a couch, because you could use a necklace as a pendulum, right? You don't have to have like an actual pendulum. You can use a necklace. You can be pretty crafty with those kind of things, as long as you're getting a rotation. And yeah, they can lay on a couch. They can lay on a yoga mat. You can. It's just like Reiki. Like, you can do Reiki anywhere too. You don't have to have all those tools. Right? I don't have to have my crystals with me to do Reiki. I don't have to have my massage table to do Reiki.
Yeah.
Right? So
something I have learned, though, about a healing response is to provide a healing environment. Yeah. So, and I mean, that can be done in nature. Like I said, when I had my card reading with you, I felt comfortable going for coffee. You know, that's my happy setting. I love going for coffee. I love going out into town, and I also love going to the bars for a beer once in a while, hitting a good pub, but I don't know if I get a chakra reading there.
No. Yeah, you do want to set a space, but like you can work with what you have, because like I work as a receptionist at a spa, and there's been many times someone's come in and it's like my Reiki turns on and it's like, okay, you know, and a lot of times I just ignore it because it's like, that's not the time or the place. But there's been moments where it's like, you know, like you ask that person, it's like, are you okay? And then they tell you like, no, I have like a migraine. I've had a migraine for 3 days. It's like, well, I do Reiki. Would you like to receive some Reiki? And it's like, yeah, okay. And then right there on the spot, like, I'm doing Reiki on someone who has a migraine for the last 3 days. And it's trusting, like, it was really loud that they needed this. Like, like Reiki just fired up. And it's like, okay, I trusted it. And the girl was like, we'll try anything at this point. Like, she kind of knew what Reiki was.
Yeah. And the most beautiful thing about Reiki as well is providing the environment, having the tools is one thing, but it's the person themselves that comes in for the healing that does their own work.
Yeah.
You know, we're just kind of setting up the props and being a conduit for the good stuff to come through.
Yeah.
And they have to pull it. They have to pull in and they have to direct it. It's not a mind power, so we can't say, Jessica, your third eye is going to be open now, cha-cha-cha. And you'll be like, what?
We're not magicians.
Right. No, it's just something that we are catalysts for their growth and healing.
Yeah.
And
traditionally say, for sure, set up a sacred space and have a place that you do your Reiki that promote, like, you know, that reflects who you are as a healer. But there's going to be times where it comes up where you're going to use it because, like, that person really needs it.
Absolutely. With intention, we can do anything. And it's our imagination where things are truly created, you know, and we have to have faith that the more we invoke, you know, follow through with our creativity and those ideas that we get, you know.
Well, it's trusting your intuition.
Trusting your intuition and, just putting your best foot forward. And I know people have asked me in the past if I'm doing Reiki when I'm doing yoga, if I'm doing Reiki when I'm doing massage. And like yourself, you know when the Reiki's really there and somebody really needs it, but I'm not doing Reiki and saying I'm doing massage. However, people will automatically that know Reiki when I'm doing a professional massage say, you do Reiki, don't you?
Well, it's probably because it's flowing.
It's
because it's still even if your intention is to do a massage, there's still an exchange of energy, right?
There is an exchange, and a lot of people get really sleepy around me. You know, even when we're doing yoga, I find I get a lot of yawners. Again, it's not something I'm doing intentionally; it's what they're drawing, and I find it even more of a energetic response and relaxing, you know, stress relief when you do combine the Reiki with the yoga. You came to my Reiki yoga class that one time.
Yeah. That was amazing.
Wasn't it?
The yin and Reiki was pretty special.
I felt it as a practitioner because as a practitioner, we're receiving as well. And I don't know, the best way to explain it is almost like, I don't want to say coming home. That's what does coming home really feel like? But just a natural, open, free-flowing feeling where there's warmth. And
well, it felt very, very safe and very nurturing is how I felt. Like that was my impression of it. And yeah, it was really lovely to experience. Like I would totally do that again. I would totally do that again.
Well, we should do something and incorporate your oils as well. You know, have like an aromatic experience as well as like a touch, you know, where it's that safe, compassionate space where you can relax and work on things on a more intentional level. You know, if you're coming for more inner peace or forgiveness. What is the most common thing that people would come to you for? Like you said, lavender and peppermint, but what about for card readings? What do people want to know? Like what?
Oh, goodness. That's a pretty big range, but I feel like I get a lot of women that are searching for something. So what I've experienced, what I get the most of is I get a lot of women who they've spent a good chunk of their life doing things for everyone else but themselves. And now they're in a point of their life, they feel lost and they're trying to find out how to get back to them. And that seems to be my client.
Are these ladies all around 30 years old? Because this happened to me when I turned 30.
Late 30s, but I've had women as old as in their 50s too. Like it just depends on where you're at in your life, right? But I find that's definitely my biggest clientele is those women that are searching for something.
But they don't know what they're looking for. They're looking for...
I think, well, from what comes up in the readings, I think they're trying to get back to who their true selves, because they spent a lot of their time, whether it's like raising kids, whether, you know, it's a spouse, they gave up a lot of themselves.
To play the role.
To play a role, whether it's wife, mother.
So
they just burnt out at both ends. They're just, it's almost like they're searching for something, but within the card reading, it's a lot of times it's like, you know, it's getting back to you. It's self-care. That's always my biggest message, is self-care. It's like, well, you know, I'd always ask them, when's the last time you did something for you? And then when they can't even tell you, it's like, okay, well, that's your first step. Like, you know.
What can you do to take better care of yourself?
Better care of yourself.
And what are some self-care tips that you would have for, like, how do you take care of you? What would you recommend for other people to start implementing, like, a self-care plan?
For me, for self-care, yoga. Because I walk, I hike, I bike, and it does take its toll. Like, I get really tight in my hamstrings, my back, my legs. Well, even I'm getting tendinitis and inflammation in my arms, because, you know, it's a lot of this, and if you're doing downhilling, it's a lot of jarring, and I've definitely had some wipeouts. So I got to take care of my body physically to be able to keep still doing this. Yoga is going to be a big part of that. And I definitely need to practice what I preach. I know I need to do it more. Like, you know, doing it every other week is not enough, because I'm feeling it in my body. So I would say yoga, like, huge for me.
Hey, I know a good yoga studio. What did you think of Pio? You came to Pio the other day and tried it out.
It was good, but holy, it's back here. I'm so tight. Mm-hmm. So I definitely had a hard time keeping them up. But it was good. But yeah, yoga, I would say, definitely a big one. I would say that's the only thing I really need to implement in my daily life, because I think I do. I get up, I eat well, I get lots of water.
Do you do any journaling or affirmations or?
I do Oracle Cabal. I do Oracle card readings on myself.
Oh yeah, and then you kind of write to yourself and reflect on.
No, I don't really journal it. I did when I started. That was part of my course. Like, she got us into the habit of journaling them, because, you know, like, when you first start with Oracle cards, you might not get a lot of information from yourself when you first start trying to interpret what's in front of you. Mm-hmm. You usually rely heavily on the books that come with them. But over time, you get more and more information as you get more and more familiar with your deck.
Okay.
Right?
Just like Reiki. The more you use the Reiki symbols,
mm-hmm.
the more you'll learn how to use them through using those symbols, right?
Yeah.
So what kind of cards do you use in your card readings?
I got quite a few decks. So I brought kind of two different decks. So my fairy deck was the one I was introduced. This is the one that started this whole thing. I've got a lot more now. I probably have about 20 decks.
Okay.
I've only got probably about 4 that I actually use on other people. A lot of them are the rest of them are just not as comfortable reading other people with them, and I feel that though the other ones are probably just more personal for me. But this is the one that started it all. This is the Healing with the Fairies from Doreen Virtue. They just start to speak to me right away. My Reiki energy channels opened up when I started using these, which was weird. I thought there was something going on, but definitely went right to a Reiki master teacher and was like, what is going on? I got heat coming out of my hands, and what is this? And she's like, that's just Reiki, you're fine. And that was when I got my first attunement.
Neat.
But this is what kind of opened that whole door. And that's the one I still use the most today. It's definitely the one I'm the most comfortable with. The one I'm using currently, so angels is a new thing for me. I was raised quite religious, Catholic and Christian. So when I started my spiritual path and people would bring up angels, it kind of was a turnoff for me, because I was like, well, how can you work with angels? And like the religion, there was just too much. So I wasn't comfortable right away. But then this deck came into my life, and I have, during my master's, there was a lot of angel presence. The girl that attuned me for my master's, she definitely has some angel spirit, whatever, working with her, and I felt them. So I was like, okay, there's something there. And then, yeah, this deck came into my life, and the angels are definitely making their presence known. So I'm like, okay, now I'm just figuring out what that means to me, I guess, and getting more comfortable with it. But yeah, this deck is definitely my current one I've been playing with.
I've been using some angel cards, like I was saying, for the last few weeks. My mom got me a deck, and they've sat on my shelf, and I just got inspired to pick them up the other day, and I've been using them every day, and it's just unbelievable. Like, even just the messages in the books when you're reflecting on something. Like, I asked for something the other day having to do with guilt.
Okay.
And we carry guilt in the second chakra. And I drew an angel Metatron, and he has this sacred geometry.
Yep.
And the sacred geometry that I was looking at was specific for the second chakra. And I'm like, how could out of however many cards are in the deck, 100 and whatever, how could I pick that one card only that is specific for what I asked
what you asked for and what you're going through.
And I was looking at the sacred geometry, and I don't know much about sacred geometry, but I just got this buzzing in my belly and then in my heart. And then I did some more research online to look up what the sacred geometry is all about. And it didn't say specifically on the card that it was for the second chakra.
Yeah.
But when I looked it up on the internet, it was for the second chakra. And I just went, holy Moses, there's something to these angel cards. They're really hearing what I'm asking for and offering like some kind of grace or salvation through tapping into what they're here for. Like, each angel sort of has a different remedy or special.
Yeah. Everyone has, they all have a different purpose, or
Purpose.
You can look at them as guides, really, right? Because it's no different than animal guides or, fairies or whatever guides you want to look at. They're just another form of that. I'm getting more comfortable. Like, I don't know them all. Definitely not. And I think Archangel Michael and then Raphael are the only ones that are actually in this deck.
In that deck.
But if you look at the hands...
Healing hands?
It's healing hands.
Beautiful.
So I actually this deck came into my life just after my Reiki Master attunement.
Did somebody gift that to you, or did you find it? Or?
No, I actually did an oracle card reading workshop at the spa I work at. I just wanted to have a couple of angel decks on hand because, they are the most popular oracle card deck that's out there. There's so many versions of angel ones. And I didn't have any in my collection because I just didn't really work with them. So I was like, okay, well, I want at least 2. So I contacted a friend who I know sells these at the markets in the summer. And I asked her if she can just,
Random.
Yeah, just give me 2. And she's like, does it matter which ones? I'm like, no. And this was one of them.
And you're like, okay.
Yeah, and as soon as I picked it up, and I was just like, I can't put these down. My my Reiki's firing up. I'm like, okay, these are mine. I knew right away, these are mine. The other deck will probably find its home. It doesn't speak to me at all, but this one was like, oh, okay, there's something to this deck. But yeah, if you want to pull a card.
Oh, okay. Is this for me?
It can be.
Inspiration? So what do I do to pull a card?
So usually for a 1-card pull, you can actually just set an intention. It could be like, what do I need to know in this present moment? It could be like, what do my guides want me to know? It could be, or what do I need to work on? It could be whatever. I usually tell people set an intention.
Okay.
So I don't like to ask a direct question.
Okay. I want to know, I want to just ask about which direction I'm going in with helping other people. My healing practice. So I just shuffle a few times.
Yeah, and then cut the deck, pull it from the top, whatever you feel is natural.
Okay.
There's no right or wrong way.
It's weird because my hand kind of gets like all vibraty here. Like right here. Woo! All right. So do you read that to me?
Okay. So this card says indigo. So the person you're inquiring about is an indigo, meaning a higher sensitive, natural born leader.
Oh, so I'm inquiring about myself. I would consider myself, I've read a little bit about indigo. What was it? That one book, Indigo Kids. Have you read that one?
Mm-hmm.
And I really started to understand more about my personality because I absorb a lot of information.
So do I.
Yeah.
Like a big old sponge. Then I wring out what I don't need.
Well, I'm learning now to wring it out. I've learned a lot of techniques on like separating myself from the information and not reacting and responding, like being more mindful to emotional responses and not being so offset by emotional responses around me. So like basically teaching myself a bomb can go off, and I'm working on being mindful and present and compassionate rather than reactive and hysterical, I guess, what you could say, just to like be really exaggerative. So it's a work in progress, and you know, every day it's about setting the intention to keep centered in peace and connected, right? So stay in that place of my heart and put my own, you know, oxygen mask on first.
Yeah.
So just making sure that my well-being is calm and centered, right? And that helps me to be better prepared for what other people bring to me, because there's so much stress in the world, and I really can see my practice benefiting not other people, but a lot for myself. So I do yoga, you know, I do meditation. I'm doing the work for myself, and people can see that about me. I'm looking, you know, color in my eyes.
So you're leading by example.
Leading by example, but really passionate about keeping my space open for others who would like to come in and do their own work, because I believe everybody can heal themselves given the proper environment and the techniques, but it takes discipline. Like, so what? You took a Reiki course. What are you going to do with it? You know?
Yep.
What are you going to do? How are you going to apply it? What are you going to change in your life? Like, how is it going to affect your day-to-day living? And, you know, how does it bring more love and peace and joy and fulfillment? And then you can share that with other people. You know, take the course, but apply it. And then...
Well, that's the other thing, too, is I tell people this a lot. Healers have to work on themselves the most. Right? Because we can't heal others if we're not taking care of ourselves, right? We can't be of service. We have to work on ourselves the most, right?
We do. We have to apply the oils. We have to wear the jewelry, say the prayers, do the stretches, repeat the mantra, repeat, and make it until it's automatic, where you're in a state of mindfulness all the time, not just at yoga. Thank you for the reading. Should we draw another card for our listeners?
Sure.
So I'll give you... Oh, that's mine. I'll give you those. So what do our listeners need to hear?
Here in this present moment in time?
Yes, today.
Well, the card that came up is Heal Away Addictions.
Oh.
So it's a time to let go of behaviors that are blocking you from your heart's desires. Ask Archangel Raphael to help you with this healing. So heal away addictions. So a lot of people probably are thinking right away, like, well, I don't have a drug addiction or blah, blah, blah. So addictions don't have to be drugs or alcohol. It could be anything that's affecting your life in a negative way. Right? It could be you're addicted to gossip, addicted to rumors, addicted to just anything that doesn't serve you.
Food,
yeah, it could be food addictions. Mm-hmm. So working on that, yeah, I think that's a pretty good thing for most people.
It's like we're dependent on, you know, bad relationships that disempower us. Mm-hmm. Shopping, yeah, that's an addiction. That could be an addiction. Self-loathing is a horrible addiction.
Yeah.
So many people live in a state of being a victim, playing the victim role.
So releasing what no longer serves you and working on those. So that's a good message for us.
Yeah, and
it works.
These things are preventing us from true fulfillment because we cannot possibly manifest the life of our desires until we're ready to let go of the shit that's weighing us down and keeping us heavy and toxic and feeling like our thoughts can prevent us from living a true life of fulfillment, like being able to establish goals.
Well, yeah,
and
beating yourself up, like
beating yourself up because you don't believe in yourself, that you worth it. And then, of course, if you're eating horribly, you're running on low fuel, and we need life energy. We need real, pure food to have the strength and energy to manifest these things.
Yeah, if I eat junk food, I'm going to feel like crap.
Yeah, we'll burn out, we'll have irritable emotions, and then, of course, if there's drugs and alcohol as well, all things in moderation, people.
Yep.
That's my rule of thumb. Yeah, we're drinking cheers. Cheers.
This is tea.
Oh. So, thanks for joining me today, Jessica. It was really a delight to speak with you. I don't know, is there any last thing you'd like to share about your practice or your mission or your mantra with the people?
Yeah, come check me out at the markets if you can. It's always a blast. So that's definitely. I love what I do, and I know there's a lot of people out there that just buy my jewelry because it's pretty. But I do get those special people that are a little more in tune to what I'm doing, and then those moments are pretty magical, and that's why I keep doing what I do. Healing's not always pretty. I always keep tissues in my booth because it can get emotional for some people if things come up. Because like when I'm telling them what the bracelet represents, and then if they're dealing with grief, if they're dealing with like a divorce or something, and they can get that can have an emotional effect. Yeah, an emotional effect, and it's like, I'm giving them something. I'm giving them hope. I'm giving them, like letting them know there's more to it than there's a bigger picture.
See beyond your limited perception, where that's another way. And I mean, we could talk about this another day. We could probably spend a whole other hour or so on chakra talk.
Oh, yeah.
But, not just through feeling and energy, but just by talking to somebody, you can tell the level of consciousness where they're functioning from. Mm-hmm. And that's where a lot of healing can come through, is if you help them to break the pattern of feeling and thoughts that they're having repetitively. Mm-hmm. It's breaking the cycle of the way we talk and think, right?
Yeah.
And it's all mindset that's going to help us to truly flourish and to step into whole health and to really, hone in on our manifesting abilities here, setting goals and seeing them manifest because we believe in ourselves and we're healthy enough to achieve, right?
And we're capable. I don't think people realize what they're capable of too sometimes. We always think that people within our environments can kind of put us in a box and label us and take the box away. The box doesn't need to be there. You're in the driver's seat. You can do whatever you want. Don't let fear hold you back.
Yeah, don't let other people direct what you're doing in life. You can be a mom and a wife, and you can play your roles, but you also have to remember to
take care of you first.
Yeah. What truly fulfills you, what rocks your boat, and nobody else is going to do that for you. When you're yearning for something, it's from within. Mm-hmm. That's one of my biggest lessons.
And it doesn't have to be like it. You can take 20 minutes out of your day and do something for yourself, for your self-care.
What I hear a lot of people saying, why aren't you coming to yoga? Well, I don't have time. I don't have time. I work all day and I'm tired at the end of the day.
Start with yoga.
Well, guess what, people? Start with yoga. Roll out of bed. Roll into your mat. Daily yoga gives us energy for life.
Oh, yeah.
It gives us the ability to grapple all of our situations that are in front of us in our relationships, in the workforce. And
instead of spending 20 minutes on Facebook in the morning when you wake up, Go do yoga.
Put a yoga video on. Go do yoga. Come to Pamela's yoga studio. She's got lots of morning classes. I'll have to give you the new schedule, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So you can come and try something other than Pyo. Pyo is a lot of fun, but, you know, if you're working on more therapeutic yoga. And I've been updating you with the yoga teacher training, too.
Oh, yeah.
I hope it's a full house. It's going to be a good one. Embodiment yoga teacher training. I can see you there. Open up your mind. Receive the teaching, Jessica.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested. It's just before the market season starts, so we'll have to see how things play out.
Yeah, well, it'll always come back in the future as well.
It definitely speaks to me, but yeah, just the timing, just before the market season starts, might be a little tricky, but...
When does the market season start?
June.
Okay, I thought it didn't start until like July. But the ones in Radium start in June, or when does Invermere start?
They start up kind of, well, there's one June 8th up at the Home Hardware.
Okay.
It's the Craft and Collectibles.
Yeah, so that's June 8th. So
Yes.
everybody mark your calendars and go visit Jessica. Before we sign off again, people can contact you. We'll leave your contact information through your website.
Mm-hmm.
And if they wanted some aromatherapy advice or to check out some of your jewelry, some of it's online.
Some of it, yeah.
You custom make, you custom blend card readings and Reiki sessions. Can they contact you and you could set up a private reading or a session?
Of course.
Okay, and that's you.
So I can do distance healing. You don't have to be present to receive Reiki. I've definitely done distance healing.
Okay, and you've done card readings that the person doesn't have to be present as well, or?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, lovely. And I want to get one of those chakra tune-ups with the crystals one day.
Yeah, that's fun.
We'll do a tradesies.
Like, oh, that's fun. All right.
All right, well, thanks for coming today, Jessica, Wired by Nature.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and you just enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, you as well.